Let's bring in Texas Senator Ted Cruz. This is a really tricky situation. You got three powerful cartels and a pretty injured Mexican government and corrupt. How would President Cruz handle this?
Well, listen, those who kill American citizens must be held accountable. And at the first instance, this wouldn't happen if we had responsible presidential leadership. Joe Biden created the chaos at the border. Joe Biden stopped building the wall. He reinstated catch and release. He pulled out of Remain in Mexico. And what Joe Biden has done is he's turned these vicious narco terrorists into multi-billionaires. Let me give you an amazing statistic. In the year 2018, this is according to the New York Times, the Mexican drug cartels made roughly $500 million. That's a lot of money. Last year, they made $13 billion. That's 2,600% more. That is what Joe Biden did. Joe Biden becoming president is the best thing that ever happened to the Mexican drug cartels. Of that $13 billion, they make about half of their money on human trafficking, about half of their money on drug trafficking. You know, you just played Karine Jean-Pierre saying fentanyl has never been better. I actually wonder if the reporters in the briefing room scooted back, afraid that lightning was going to hit the podium. I mean, good God, last year we had the highest number of drug overdoses in the history of our country. Over 100,000 drug overdoses in the United States, the majority of which came from Chinese fentanyl flooding across this border. Joe Biden and the Democrats are responsible for turning these vicious murderers into multi-billionaires. We need to bankrupt them. We need to put them out of business. And the people responsible for these murders need to be brought to justice.
So if you bring them to justice and you lob a missile at one of their camps, what do you think? How do they retaliate? I mean, you're right on the front lines in Texas.
Well, listen, let me be clear. Lindsay is my colleague, but I'm not with him. The answer is not to invade Mexico. I don't think the answer is to just go to war with whatever country you're mad at. You know, you think about the answer is to stand up to them. When Donald Trump was president, AMLO, who's the same anti-American leftist then that he is now, was afraid of Donald Trump. AMLO agreed to the Remain in Mexico agreement. AMLO put soldiers on Mexico's southern border, and we ended up getting the lowest rate of illegal immigration in 45 years. The reason this is so bad is AMLO thinks that Joe Biden is a wimp. I got to tell you, Jesse, you should watch the press conference that AMLO did with Biden, where AMLO stands there and in Spanish boastingly says, Joe Biden, he's the first president, Republican or Democrat, who hasn't built a single meter of border wall. And he's thanking him for his open border policies. You know what? The drug cartels are also. The answer is not just go to war with Mexico. The answer is put pressure on Mexico and have the Mexican army show up, arrest these guys, extradite them to the United States. They need to be prosecuted and face the full force of American justice. And if we had a president with a scintilla of willingness to stand up to other nations, that's exactly what would be happening right now.
I have a feeling you're going to see that statement from the Mexican government maybe show up in a Republican campaign ad in about a year.
I suspect that's right, although I'll tell you, there's no shortage of disastrous statements when it comes to the open border. You also have Karine Jean-Pierre, who claims nobody's just walking across the border, which is another brazen lie. You have Joe Biden, who's been to the southern border once. He went to El Paso, 800 miles away from the Rio Grande Valley. And amazingly enough, he says he went to our southern border and didn't see a single illegal alien, which is extraordinary political theater because they cleaned everyone off the streets and then said, look, nobody's here.
Yeah, it's the first streets they cleaned up the entire presidency.
That's
Ted
exactly
Cruz,
right.
Thanks for joining us.